whoever and wherever you are.
You're listening to We Hate Small Talk
With Cindy
and Emin. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of We Hate Small Talk. Today we are very excited to be talking about something a little more serious and something that kind of hits close to home for both Cindy and I, because I think we've personally talked about this and our struggles with this topic over the time that we've known each other, and we wanted to share some of our thoughts with you listeners today.
So as you can see by the title, today we're talking about beauty standards. And this is something that I'm super passionate about, and not just on, external beauty and cosmetics, which I love, but also kind of the perception of beauty and how society's beauty standards has had an effect on us as, 20-somethings navigating this realm of social media and comparing yourself to others.
Yeah, I think that we were really lucky to grow up in a society where Instagram and now TikTok wasn't a thing until we were in middle school and early high school. So at least in our junior years, we didn't have to constantly see perfect bodies, at least on our phones. Maybe on billboards and commercials, we still saw that when people still watched TV and when billboards were a huge thing. But I think that nevertheless, we were impacted by society's beauty standards from both sides of the spectrum, from North America and from Asia. And we wanted to discuss some of that today, and also just our thoughts of navigating that.
Yeah, exactly. I think social media and advertising have definitely pushed a very unrealistic narrative, and now it's hitting younger and younger children, and I just can't imagine growing up like that anymore. So I kind of want to start off today's episode with understanding at a foundational level our first interactions with beauty standards and how that's impacted us growing up. And then maybe later on we can talk about our growth and some of the anxieties that we've gone through about our appearance and maybe how we've tried to change that moving forward. So, Emin, when was the first time you started maybe looking critically at yourself or had this sense of what an outward appearance was?
That's an interesting question. I feel like the first time was probably in first or second grade. And so I remembered the first time someone made a comment about my appearance. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, people actually notice other people's appearances. And that I was probably like 6 at the time. So the incident was at the pool. When I was younger, I used to swim a lot. And I remember I would always go swimming with my mom. And then we had family friends that we would always go to the pool with every weekend. And then sometimes on weekday nights as well. And then one time when we were coming out of the change room, I remember one of my mom's friends, she made a comment saying, oh, your daughter is so skinny and you're so lucky that she is naturally just so skinny and pale. And my mom was like, yeah, I guess we got lucky that my daughter has the good traits from both my husband and I. And then I remember saying, I'm not skinny, I'm regular, and comparing my physique to my friend. And basically, at the time, I understood that people viewed me as skinny. And from then on, I tried my best to not make myself seem skinny. I didn't want people to think that I was skinny. I tried so hard to be regular physique, and it would really not bother me, but I just didn't want to be different from any of the other girls my age. How about you? When was the first time you realized that the concept of body image was a thing?
Yeah, so I'm almost kind of saddened by how early we both had our first memory, because mine was when I was very young as well. I think I was in kindergarten, and I remember we were at a birthday party for one of my classmates in kindergarten, and I was still back in China, and we were just kids running around. And then I think I went to look for my mom or something, and she was chatting with the other moms, as they do. And to preface this, I was always a little chunky growing up. She was not skinny, and that was okay, but I was just really I guess how you say it would be firm. That's kind of, I wasn't skinny like a lot of young children.
You were strong.
Oh, I was a terror. Um, but yeah, I think the other lady saw me run up and she made this comment. And in contrast to yours, her comment was something like, wow, look at Cindy's legs. Oh my God, she's so sturdy. And that like absolutely tore off like those rose colored glasses you have when you're like, romanticizing the world. But when I was in kindergarten, I was like 4. And then that was when I started looking at myself and comparing myself to my peers. And y'all know these Asian kids, like Min, are fucking skinny as twigs when they are younger. So I was like looking at myself and I'm like, why am I so much thicker than my classmates?
You know what's funny is in both our scenarios, the similarity is that another adult was the one that pointed out our differences in physique. You always think of adults as people who are positive influences in your life as a child, hopefully. But I feel like in our cases, and I think in many people's cases, like adults are the first ones to comment about how a baby looks, about how a child looks, and they'll praise the mom or dad if the baby comes out really great. But then if the baby looks a little off, or like the child has something wrong, like they'll probably be the first one to point it out as well and give suggestions on what the parents can do to change that.
Yeah, and maybe I think maybe I'm overgeneralizing, but a lot of Asian culture is based on appearance. And I think with like close friends or family friends, your body is not your own. It's not owned by you. It's owned by everyone, and anyone can make comments. And I think they're coming out of like the goodness of their own heart to make these comments because they're like, oh, I want you to be better, or like, oh, I'm just pointing something out. But it's definitely super detrimental to a young child because I feel like our perception of beauty is shaped so much by our external environment growing up. And like these Asian parents or family members that make these like subtle offhand comments that they'll probably never even remember are things that like hit home. And for example, like us, we still remember that comment years down the line and decades down the line, right?
Yeah, like I think I've never gotten used to my family members making comments about my appearance. Like to this day, after 22 years of hearing these comments, I still, every single time I hear it, I get triggered. And maybe it's because I'm more sensitive than the average person about people making comments about my body, because like there was a time when I really didn't like my body, and those comments I took pretty seriously. Whereas now I think I have a better way of handling them and brushing them to the side, or knowing when they're true or not true, whatever. But yeah, I think that that's something about Asian culture that I've never liked. Like, I really dislike the fact that in Asia or maybe China, I don't know specific countries, but people feel okay making comments about your appearance. And even like not close family members will do it. And I'm just like, you've seen me once in the last 6 years and you feel like you have the right to say this. And not even like family members, like aunties who are like not related by blood to you, feel like they have the right to comment on your body. I feel like that's very, very strange.
Especially the aunties. You will literally find strangers on the road making a comment. Like, I have gone to like either grocery shopping with my parents in China or like just gone to the mall, and like shop attendants will also make comments and things like that. And it's like, yo, why you so invested in my appearance, huh? Like, look at yourself in the mirror before you judge me, girl. Because,
Yeah.
like, I'm like, yo, auntie, you look like you gained weight too. Like, why are you talking to me?
No, literally. And I remember we both worked in China for a prolonged period of time in our early adulthood. So I worked there in the summer after first year. So I was 18 at the time and, just fresh out of first year. So, I got that freshman 15. And I also came from that background of growing up in Canada. So in the summer when it's like 30 degrees, 35 degrees in Shanghai, I'm going to wear shorts and a t-shirt, like I'm not going to wear long pants and a long sleeve shirt if it's 35 degrees outside. So I would walk around in the streets in shorts and a t-shirt like a regular person would. And then I would have these old people staring at me, maybe because I was taller than the average Chinese person. Maybe I was showing too much skin, or maybe I was just stockier at the time than the average Chinese girl. But like, it made me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, like I definitely had that period too. Like I think growing up, like these comments, I honestly didn't really care that much about my appearance growing up, which is funny because oh, now do I ever care? But I think I've also worked in China during that time frame as well, and I just remember walking down the streets in Beijing and seeing these girls that were not only like pale as fucking snow, but also like their legs would be the size of my arms. But I was still very pressured to meet that ideal in China. And I think the Asian standard of beauty is very much thin and pale and black hair, the tall, willowy frame. And like I've checked none of these boxes growing up, and I still don't check any of these boxes.
I feel like when I was younger, maybe I did check some of these boxes because when I was in junior school and middle school, I remember I was extremely skinny. And part of that reason was because I was an extremely picky eater. And I only didn't become a picky eater when I started competitive swimming because I was literally burning 2,000 calories a day from my practices and I needed to eat carbs. Like I needed to eat a lot of food so that I wouldn't look like a skeleton. And I was also hungry all the time when I was swimming. So that forced me to just eat anything and I became unpicky. But before that phase started in my life, I was super picky. Like I remember I only really ate vegetables. I hated meat and I I remember my parents would literally bring me to McDonald's and force me to eat a burger because they wanted to fatten me up and I would only get through like a quarter of the burger before I wanted to like throw up. I was an extremely picky eater when I was little and I think that's why I was so skinny and I have naturally like paler skin, but I think that growing up like that, there were still things that I hated about my body. And they came from comments that I remember my peers would make about parts of my body that were different from them. And I would remember those comments and I would never want to show those parts of my body. Like, for example, I remember in the change room when we were swimming, like I was probably 6 years old again. And at that time, like everyone would just change in front of each other. Like, you know, you don't really care. But I remember my friends would always point out the fact that I had an outie belly button and they all had innies. And they thought my outie was so funny to look at. And it is like a pretty big belly button. So when I was younger, I hated my belly button with a passion. I remember even in middle school and high school, I would research like belly button plastic surgery and see if I can change my outie into an innie because I was that self-conscious about it. And I remember there were birthday parties where we would go to the pool when I was in junior school, middle school, and I would never wear a two-piece even though all the other girls were wearing two pieces because the thought of someone seeing my outie, like it made me so paranoid and insanely like anxious, right? And that was like, even though I was skinny, like I didn't have any fat on my stomach at the time, I never wore two pieces because of that. So I think like that's just to say like there's always something that you can hate about your body.
Yeah, definitely. And I think growing up, I guess because we both grew up for quite a while in China, we were pretty closely compared to Asian beauty standards, right? And especially with our parents also being from China, like I think that still instilled a sense of what perfection or what beautiful looks like to them. I know, especially for my mom, she will always make these offhand comments comparing me to my peers. And like you said, like you did competitive sports, I also did that for a while. So she would look at how the other girls on the team looked versus how I looked. And she would be like, oh, do you need to do more conditioning? Like, oh, I wish, you would like stretch more to do this. But like, it was like, I know she's coming from a place that's like, I want you to be better, but I actually felt like I didn't really notice those differences until she pointed them out for me. And that just caused a sense of dread every time I would have to do sports or like every time I would have to wear like something a little tighter and just kind of growing into that.
Yeah, I completely relate. I feel like moms, like as much as my relationship with my mom has changed from back then to now, like I think we have a good relationship and a healthy one, and she makes less comments about my appearance because I've told her over the years how much it has affected me. But back then she would also do the exact same thing and make these comments because she wanted the best for me. And in our society, we are, in my opinion, we are a pretty superficial society. Like, attractive people get treated better, and it's unfair. It's disgusting, but at the end of the day, like, that's what I've noticed growing up, and attractive people are more popular, all of that. So I'm assuming from a parent's perspective, if you can do what you can to make your child more liked and have a less chance of getting bullied or have a less chance of having any hardships in life, then you will. But in that process, it might be detrimental to that child's mental health.
And like that sort of thing stays with you forever, because it's not only just the media telling you how you should look, but it's also your parents and it's also your peers. And you just kind of get stuck in this feedback loop of everyone telling you that you should change your appearance, that you kind of start to wonder, like, holy shit, are they right? Like, am I completely disgusting? And it's like, the pretty privilege that you mentioned is so apparent. Like, that's the only thing you have to judge someone by if you're just meeting them for the first time, right? And I honestly feel like, yes, it's gross and disgusting, but your appearance can also be a strength. Like, I feel like because dedicate a lot of time to thinking about like appearance etiquette and how I want to present myself, like you can almost wield your appearance as like a tool.
Yeah, I admire the fact that you spend time into your appearance, because I feel like when you do try, your makeup looks are on point, your like outfit looks are on point, and it kind of tells people like the person that you are, you know, like by your appearance, like people can make these assumptions and you can craft those assumptions based on how you look. So I completely agree with that point. I guess I want to bring it back to the question that you had asked in the beginning, which was when you first realized that body image was a thing. And I wanted to ask as a follow-up question, when did you first come into this like puberty stage, and how was that like for you? And did you have a heightened sense of your body image during your puberty stage? Because I know that I definitely did.
Oh man. Yeah, I have to be honest, like I think puberty didn't hit me that hard. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I look at baby photos or like toddler photos, I'm like, yo, still look the same as that little potato. Like, you know, that's still me. But I think the difference here is that when I hit puberty, I was here in Canada. And like, I feel like it's less appearance based than China was. But now the kicker is that I also don't fit into this Western standard of beauty. So like, just, you know, because people can't see us on the podcast, I'm pretty short. Like I'm a lot shorter than Eamon, and I'm not very curvy, which is like super, it's like,
I would say you're pretty, like, I think you have nice hips.
yeah, child rearing hips. Thanks. You. It's like, it's weird because I'm like too curvy for Asian beauty standards, but I'm not curvy enough for Western beauty standards. And I feel like even now, I'm still waiting for puberty to hit me and my boobs to grow in, but like, you know, gotta be stuck in the petite committee for life. And that was such a huge thing during puberty, because I remember all the girls in my school were getting bras and shit, and I was like, yo, yeah, still don't need any support up top. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for a bit to see when it hits me, and update, it still has not hit me. So
So I started puberty really late. Like I got my period in grade 10. How about you?
Holy shit, I got my period in grade 5. Like that was when
What?
everyone was getting their period and stuff.
No, I got it super late. And I think it's
Grade
because of
10?
yeah, because of the competitive swimming. Like I think it stunted all of my development until like I, you know, had to. Okay, but yeah, so essentially because I got my period really late compared to girls my age, I also started puberty really late. Essentially, like, you know, the boobs didn't come in until grade 10.
But they still came in.
Okay, well, I think Itty Bitty Titty Committee is a really cool committee to be a part of. And I think that, you know, Aritzia, for example, sells clothes that look good on people with itty bitty titties. Like, do you not agree? Like, some brands literally cater to that aesthetic, and I think that girls that have smaller boobs look better in clothes. Maybe that's kind of a hot take. I don't know.
Sometimes I would just like some definition up here, you know, like Not asking for much, but oh, I think like something that really stands out to me, and this pertains maybe to us especially, but not only is like the media shitty and like this kind of is exemplified by what's been happening in the news lately, but like this gross stereotyping and discrimination we face as Asian women. Like, I specifically remember like guys talking about girls or whatever, and me just overhearing them in high school. And like, Asian girls were never like high on the list of hotness. And these words were never associated together because I feel like a lot of these Asian girls were either meek or like considered cute or like even docile. Oh my God, I hate that fucking word. But we're almost like possessions rather than something that was like a human.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like I don't know how I feel about the word possession because I don't know if it's a little too extreme or if it's actually accurate to how some men think of us. And to be honest, I in high school was very out of the loop and bubble of these talks. Like,
Oh.
I think I was like very much in my own circle of like innocent naivety, and I like didn't know what people were saying. I like didn't really care. I wanted so bad just to like do well in school, do extracurriculars that I liked, get into university. Like that was like honestly my goal in high school. And I think that I was very naive, and I don't know how guys thought of Asian girls, but I do know like now that it's very common for people to think of Asian girls as either cute or like what other compliment is there?
Exotic.
Mm,
I hate that word because it feels like we're like those like exotic animals that like people like pay to see at the zoo or whatever. And it's like, why is that something you find like a compliment? Like, why are we the other or the exotic or something strange or peculiar?
yeah. And I feel like it's like I've gotten messages on online apps, dating apps, where guys will like not Asian guys will message me and be like, you know, I normally don't go for an Asian girl, but for you, I would make an exception. And it's like you're lumping me into the entire demographic of Asian. Like, it's like they don't see us for us, they see us for our race. And I feel like that is very prevalent. Even in university, I feel like I felt my race more than I felt any other identifier of myself.
Yeah. And it's almost like now become like a precaution because I remember like if like a white dude likes an Asian girl, he automatically has like yellow fever. And then that made me like almost think of a lot of guys that were into Asian girls as like kind of weird or whatever. Like, oh, do they like her for her actual like self or do they like her for her race? And I feel like I've experienced that too. I was like, oh, if a guy was like into me, I was like, is he weird? Like, does he like me for me? Or is he, you know, just into like you said, this identifier of mine? And that's made this concept of like, so am I pretty or am I beautiful or am I just, you know,
Exotic.
yeah. Oh God. Like
I completely agree. And I honestly hate the fact that we have to question that. Like, why can't people just like us for us? And maybe it's because media has exasperated this perception that Asian women are exotic. But yeah, like I hate it for men of other races who are not Asian too, because it's like they almost have to prove that they don't have yellow fever. Because now, especially with like the Asian hate that's going on in our society, like I feel like if any other race is dating an Asian girl, they kind of have to prove like, hey, I don't have yellow fever. Like I've dated other races before, but I just really like my girlfriend or wife. Like, you know what I mean? I've seen posts like that online, which I don't want that for guys to feel like if they are into an Asian girl, they have to prove that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I think Asian girls do question that. Like, I would question that.
Yeah. It's like a two-way thing because of this like stereotype and these things that are happening, like guys have to prove themselves like so much harder and girls have to like kind of get over this like nagging on like in the back of their mind. Like that's such a shitty and weird situation to be in. And I don't know if that's ever
Yeah.
going to change.
Yeah, I don't know either. I feel like I can't see it changing for the short term because I feel like anything that has to do with our social climate, it takes a long time to change those perceptions in people. But at the same time, I think that interracial couples are so common now that it's not a big deal. Like at the end of the day, like it's fine. But going back to what we were talking about, the cute thing and like Asian girls never being called hot, I think that's something that I really relate to because I feel like whenever someone is complimenting me on my appearance, I always get the word cute. To now, like this day, if I get called cute, like it kind of triggers me. Does it trigger you?
Dude, yeah. I'm like, yo, like I'll throw hands, call me cute again.
Yeah,
Because
like
and it's not just guys too, like girls. It's like girls to girls too, which I find so crazy. Because when I compliment other girls, I'm like, yo, bitch, you hot as fuck. Like I will go off and gas them. I'm like, yo, you fire. But then if someone else compliments me, she's like, oh my God, you look so cute tonight. And I'm like, dude, I spent all this time on this hair and makeup to be called cute. Like, bro, you
yeah.
disrespectful.
I know. Like I don't know if people say that and mean a different thing. I think they probably do and they just don't know how much it like triggers Asian girls. But I think it's like the word cute has a connotation of like quiet, timid, docile. Like a puppy,
Yeah.
you know? And like will listen to their owner. And I would hate for someone to think of me that way because not only am I not quiet, but I am also not small.
Okay, I am small. I will give you that. But I think we've both proved that we're not the quiet, docile type. And like I said, it relates back to possession. Like when you're cute, you almost like kind of need someone to protect you or to like be your savior or owner, that type of way. And I'm like, why is that still a thing? Like I call pets cute, but do you ever see me calling another human cute? Like, what if like you're a guy and I come up to and be like, oh my God, you're so adorable? Like, how does that make you feel, right?
Yeah. But also, I feel like, I don't know, like I've definitely referred to a guy as cute, you know? So I don't, is it different for guys?
Huge question mark. Like, I don't know if I knew how a guy thought, like, bro, I'd be like a millionaire by now. Like,
But yeah, okay, so consensus is that we both do not like being called cute.
yeah. Okay, so this may be a little cringy, but before we discuss our actual anxieties or our struggles and our growth, I want to really do this exercise with you because I recently did this with a really close friend of mine while we were playing We're Not Really Strangers, and it was honestly super enlightening. And I think like it would be really interesting to see our answers. So the question is, what are your 3 favorite physical features about the other person? And you can take a moment to think.
Yeah. I have actually done this question too on a date.
Oh, she's spicy.
And I agree. Like, it's very interesting to know what other people see in you, what they notice. And I have the 3 in mind for you. Do you want me to start?
Sure.
Should we do one each?
Yeah, we can trade. We can do one each.
Okay. And this is in no particular order. And this is not all encompassing. So there's probably more, but I'm just going to say 3. Okay?
Stop with the disclaimers.
Okay, so my first favorite physical feature that you have, and I think I've definitely told you this, and I always make comments about it, but I really like your lips. And maybe it's because I have little skinny lips and you have big, nice, plump ones. But I don't know, like I think like your lips just are like a really perfect size. And whenever you wear lipstick, it looks good, you know?
My lips are quivering. Like, okay. Well, I see you at your lips and I raise you my favorite feature about you. Like, I think this is something I'm super jealous of as well, but your skin. And it's like, Yimin has such nice skin for also the little amount of effort she puts into her skin. Like, I'm out here with a full-blown, like, skincare routine and my skin is still shit, but Yimin, like, puts, like, one lotion on, her skin is like perfect, poreless, smooth, like always glowing, like just literally perfect.
I would like to say that Cindy probably is one of the people in my life who's encouraged me to use face cream. Before 2020, I put body lotion on my face and it worked really well. Okay, I would use the aloe vera Vaseline body lotion all over my body and all over my face after I shower, and it did fine. But Cindy here, she recommended me some products. She told me about her skincare routine, and now I am on that face cream and toner grind. So I would just like to thank you for really looking out for my skin.
Literally, this is like what you got with great genetics. And here you are like slathering body lotion on your face. Literally, like my heart still is like hurting when I hear that.
Oh, God. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So my second physical feature that I really like of yours, and it's going to sound a little weird, but I really, really like your collarbones. And I first noticed your collarbones when we lived together, and I remember you came out wearing this like spaghetti strap navy blue dress, and I was like, damn, she got those nice collarbones that are popping.
Are my collarbones distracting you on camera right now? Do you want me to flash them?
Yeah, they actually are. I'm staring at them this entire time.
I feel a little exposed. I'm gonna, raise up the collar of my shirt a little bit. No, stare away. These are for you to admire. But yeah, I literally, I'm like low-key blushing a little bit, but my second favorite feature for you is I fucking love your smile. And like, I don't even know what it is, like your little dimples or what it is, but like just the way like you smile and you have your dimples and your teeth are showing, it's like really great. Like you look so good when you smile in photos. You look good when you're not smiling either, but like it's just like such a sunny and like perfect like smile. Like when like some people's like faces like light up or whatever, and like it's just like perfect and it's like so great. And I think it's because I have a really bad smile, so I like never smile, but like I never smile naturally anyways, that I like really look at someone's smile and like I think just everything about it is really good. It like conveys genuine happiness.
I'm like trying not to smile right now because I feel awkward. But thank you. That's very nice of you. Okay, so my third physical feature that I really, really love, and I'm actually really jealous of, and I've definitely mentioned this to you too, is your hair. And I have heard like you complain about your hair so many times, but do you know what I would give to have full, luscious, thick ass hair like yours? Like, not only is it thick and like it looks healthy, and I just feel like you'll never bald because you just have so much hair. Whereas for me, I like lose a lot of hair, so and it's thin in the first place, so it's not a vibe. So yeah, I'm really jealous of your hair, and I'm so jealous of the fact that you can dye it all these extreme colors over and over again and have it still look healthy. Like, I feel like I've only dyed my hair once and I have never dyed it again because I need it like to recuperate over like 2 or 3 years before I can dye it again.
This is really funny because like I think my hair was such a meme after I dyed it because it literally felt like a paintbrush. Like it was so gross and dry and brittle, and people would come up and be like, is that a dead cat in your hair? But like, dude, it was so terrible. And I think like this is really funny why you picked my hair, and I will let you know later. But my third feature that I really like about you is like your legs. And like this is probably because like you swam or like you are just tall. Like you have really long legs and you look nice in like clothes, especially like when you wear something high-waisted. I'm like, yo, she's legs from the boobs down. Like the fuck?
Yeah, literally, because I have no torso, unlike you who has an actual torso.
Yeah, you wanna trade these stubby legs for yours? Like, bro, I'm like a short little teapot, short and stout. Like, seriously.
Okay, you're not that short.
But yeah, Yimin just walks around on these like stilts, and like, dude, like this is why you never need to wear heels. And when you do, I feel like you look like so like snatched up, like just vertically blessed,
I don't know if you even ever see me in heels because I never wear heels.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, I think it's because I have the fattest, chubbiest feet I've ever seen. My feet are flat and they have no arch. Like, I have flat feet and I need to wear orthotics. And my orthotics don't fit in my heels, so I just never wear heels.
We're just sharing so much about ourselves today. But okay, like here's like the why this was interesting for me, because when I did this with my friend, she actually picked out 3 things I was most insecure about or disliked the most about myself. And I was like, wow, the fact that you saw those features and thought they were like nice or like your favorite is like really strange to me. And for you, I think you picked like things that I once were insecure about or disliked about myself. Like my lips were such a huge insecurity for me because they're so like big and there's no like lip line that is like very concrete. So whenever I wore lipstick or something like growing up, I always felt like a clown. Like it just looked bad. And then for example, my hair, like I hated black hair, which is why I like was so adamant about dyeing it and like trying funky colors, because I felt like just black hair wasn't me as a person. And even now, every day, I think blondes have more fun and I should be blonde or something like that. And I think like, I don't know what it is about my black hair, but I just see it and I think it's so boring. And then I think you mentioned my collarbones. Yeah, I've just never noticed them until you pointed them out. And I was like, I have them. That's great.
You know, not all people have visible collarbones, so you got to be proud of what you have.
Yeah, but that was like why I love doing this exercise, because I think it's such a like interesting perspective from the outside of what people think is beautiful about you.
Yeah, I'm almost curious, like, what was the 3 insecurities that your friend mentioned?
She said she liked my hands, my legs, and I think she said she liked my jaw or like my face structure. And like she literally pinpointed my 3 biggest insecurities about my body. Like amongst the many, like, but like these are the biggest because, as I've said, I have really stubby legs and like they just never look good in pants or anything. And then like my jaw is like really pronounced, so I feel like I have a really strong looking face because of it. And then she said my hands, and like I'm a nail biter and I do it just out of like nerves or like habit, and so I've always hated the way my hands looked, and if I can, I'm always getting my nails done.
I think that's interesting because we both said really different things, you know, like nothing overlapping. And that just shows every single person has a different definition of what beauty looks like to them. And so the fact that there's stereotypical beauty standards in our world makes no sense, because who are we to let billionaires determine what is beautiful when we all have different perceptions of what is beautiful?
So I think now, after this like session of gassing each other up, we can start kind of sharing what anxieties or things that we felt about our bodies or our image or things like that. Because I think nowadays everyone has this like very high level of appearance anxiety, and it's just like nothing's wrong, but you just have anxiety about every part or like some part of your appearance.
Yeah. I think that it's really interesting that you had said those 3 physical traits for me, because I can tell you something that I've been insecure about with like all 3 of these traits. So the first one that you said was my skin. And I don't know if you've noticed, but on my skin, on my all across my arms and my legs, I have tiny little red bumps. And it's not visible enough for like someone to see it like right away, but if you're like up close you can definitely see it. And I think that there's a medical term for it, and I've definitely googled it and searched up creams that I can use or scrubs to get rid of it, because I was so insecure about it, especially when I was swimming and like I was in a suit all the time. Like you could definitely see them. And so I remember I would, in high school, go to Lush and talk to them about the natural soap and scrubs that I can use to try and get rid of these bumps. But at the end of the day, like, they're still there. And I think at this point, I'm fine enough with them. And because people don't really point them out, it's just me that hates them, that I haven't done anything further to get rid of them. Secondly, you said my smile, I believe. And for the longest time, like probably from grade 12 to 4th year of university, I would still smile big in pictures. But when I look back on those pictures, especially when I was in a phase where I didn't really like my body, I felt like my face always looked so bloated. Like you might think you're exuding like confidence, or like, I don't know what you said, like you look like you're genuinely happy. But in my mind, I'm like, why did I smile that big? Like my face looks bloated because of how big my smile is. And sometimes I would like look in the mirror and see like if I smile without my teeth, like would my face look smaller? Because I think that my face is already pretty big for an Asian, that I was insecure about the size of my head and face. So like I would try techniques of how I can specifically turn my face at a specific angle in pictures so that my face doesn't look bloated and like too big. And so if you like go through my Instagram pictures, you will notice I only have one side that I post pictures on. FYI, it's my right side. And so all my pictures are the exact same because I'm like insecure in any other angle because of that. And then the third thing that you said was my legs. And I think that because my legs are longer than my torso, you do notice them. And for the longest time in university, that was one of the biggest things that my mom would always critique me on, because my legs are not straight. If you actually pay attention to them, they're like kind of like a little crooked. So she would always tell me to do yoga, and that's why I got orthotics. I spent $1,000 on orthotics because my mom kept on saying that my legs were not straight and I need to wear orthotics and I need to walk a certain way to train my legs to be straighter, and I need to do yoga to like straighten out my legs and my alignment of my body. So it's interesting that those are the three things that you like about me, and I think those are things that I like about myself today, but in the past those were things that I had always critiqued myself on.
Yeah. I see, like, that's a thing. Like, I think everyone can critique any part of their body, even if they think it's their, like, best feature. Because, like, I don't know if this is just me, but as, like, a striving perfectionist, like, I always think something could be better. And, like, I think I also went through this period of time just absolutely hating everything about my body. Like, I probably won't grow out of this, and like I'm okay with that now. Like, I think I've come to terms with the fact that I'm probably not going to like 100% like love everything about my body, and like that's fine. Like, I don't think you have to, but it's like coming to peace with like the fact that, you know, these are my faults or these are things that I can't change, and just living with that. But like, yeah, I have days where I wake up and literally like look like a troll doll. Like, I will look in the mirror and literally be like, oh my god, what the heck happened to you? But then there's also moments where like you'll be like, oh, like you look really cute you look really cute today. No, I look in the mirror and I tell myself I'm hot. But yeah, like I just don't foresee myself looking in the mirror and just not having anything to nitpick about, because I think it's already ingrained in me that there's always something better or something you can change about yourself.
I think for me, it's like now it doesn't bother me as much. I
Mm-hmm.
won't agonize about it.
Yeah.
And I think, like, yeah, of course, there's always things that if I could change, or things that I'm working towards for my body and my appearance. But will I be counting calories to get there, or will I be restricting myself in extreme ways? Like, probably not. I think that I'm less bothered by it. And I think that COVID has definitely helped. Just like the fact that I can not always be seeing perfect bodies all the time. That helps. But I think that at the end of the day, like, it's such a mental thing.
Mm-hmm. It's literally like you are your own worst critic and biggest enemy. And like, I think this is the reason why I don't have social media. It's because like I don't need that extra external voice telling me like, look at these photos, because like in my mind we all know they're Photoshop, we all know they're fake, but it doesn't take away that pressure to want to look like that. And it's interesting you mentioned calorie counting, because I actually wanted to ask you, like, is there something you turn to or do when you have appearance anxiety? And it could be like both negative and positive. And I guess we can start off with the negative ones and see if there's any way that you combat that, or like how you've tried to change your mindset.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I will say, like, I think I had the worst relationship with my body in the last 5 years, or the last like 4 years before 2020. And then 2020 to now is like my road to recovery. And I'm like getting better and loving my body. But maybe from 2015 to 2020, it was like rocky. And I would definitely say during those years, I would count calories, but it wouldn't be for a long period of time. I would download MyFitnessPal and log my food for like a week or two, and then I would get tired of doing it, and then I would stop. And then I would delete the app and then re-download it like a year later when I'm in that mindset where I like think I need to eat less or count the calories in order to lose weight. And I think that how I've stopped doing that is, honestly, everyone says this, but I think it's true. It's like having a lifestyle change and a mental change, like a shift. So like today, I think I have really been able to control my weight in a sense because I live at home. I'm lucky enough to eat mainly home cooked meals. And when I do eat out or get bubble tea or something sweet, whatever, it's not like a very regular thing. It's like max, I'll have like a sweet thing once a week or twice a week. And I don't know if that's still like restricting yourself to a certain sense, but I'm not doing it because I want to lose weight. I think I have this lifestyle because I know it's the healthy thing to do, and I want to build my body to be like strong and healthy.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to get there. And I think I've only gotten to this place because I've been living at home and I've been lucky to like have access to healthy food.
Yeah, I agree. I think like when I had like my worst battle with body image, I had just come back from working in Asia for 6 months, and y'all know the food in Asia. Girl, I was eating like 5 meals a day, and especially because I was like, oh my God, you gotta eat this now or you won't be able to when you get back to Canada. Like, this is it. I was like forcing myself to eat. And by the end of it, I'd come back and I'd gained about like 20 pounds. And honestly, like, gaining weight is not the most terrible thing in the world. Like, it happens naturally. But like, I also just felt so weak in my body. And because I'm like of a shorter stature, like those 20 pounds looked like 40 pounds on me. And I just
It really didn't, but okay.
no, I just hated the way everything looked on me. Like, my old clothes didn't fit. Like, all I wore were like baggy clothes to hide because I was like, oh my God, I don't even want to see this myself, right? And I think I got really into my mind once again about counting calories and restriction and exercise as well, because I just had a number in my head that I wanted to get back to. And I thought, like, if I get there, then I can stop this like weird health fit thing that I'm going through. But like, the closer I got, restricting what I was eating, counting crazy calories, like I was not letting myself eat, pushing myself to go to the gym and to exercise, like all of that made me feel weaker almost in a way, like I was being controlled, and it was just a really terrible feeling to have. And I think like at one point, like I was like, oh my God, I literally can't do this anymore. And I hit that number that I had in my mind, but I didn't feel happy at all. And I think that really like smacked me out of that mindset. And I was like, you know what? Like, my body isn't a machine. Like, what does it matter how I look and how superficial I want it to fit into clothes or whatever? Like, what matters truly is like, how strong do I feel? How comfortable do I feel, right? And I think now my entire mindset is like, hell yeah, I'm gonna eat that like cupcake. I'm gonna eat like that snack. I won't restrict myself, but it's like to make up for it and to also just feel stronger in my body. I'll count the calories I burn during exercise versus like the calories that I'm intaking into my body. And like doing that has made me feel a lot better about myself. And I don't think I look at my weight as a number that I'm scared about or that I need to manage.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you told that story, because I remember you told me that maybe last year and you had lost what, 20 pounds in like 2 months or something?
Yeah, it was like really intense and probably really unhealthy, honestly, the way that I like shed that weight. But it was just such a battle. And I don't think other people even noticed that I would put on so much weight and like lost weight. And I think also you played a role in this, because I think one day after I'd like lost a lot of the weight, you looked at me, I was wearing some pants or something that I actually didn't fit into a month prior, and you were like, oh my god, you're like really skinny. And I was like, oh shit, like I didn't even notice. Like it was just so like stuck in my head that I was like, oh my god, I gained so much weight, like oh my god, I need to lose weight.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if what I said like triggered you, because I feel like sometimes like if anyone makes a comment about someone's appearance, like it can be triggering no matter if it's a positive or negative comment, and I think it just depends on like the person. And so like I do apologize if that comment did trigger you at the moment.
No, definitely didn't. Like it kind of like made me acknowledge, oh, maybe I've been too hard on myself. Like it was a good like knock. And like I think the thing I struggled with the most during that period is like I felt guilty for feeling bad about my body, because I know a lot of people have it worse, right? Like a lot of girls suffer from body dysmorphia, a lot of guys suffer from body image issues and what society wants them to look like. And I was like, honestly, I'm not like, I didn't gain that much weight and I still look passable. So why am I such a hater about myself? And I felt guilty for wanting to change what I looked like.
Yeah, I think like it just goes to show like from your story that even when you think that you are fat, essentially, other people don't think that. And even when you push yourself to lose all of that weight, like it's not necessarily going to make you that much happier or any happier at all. So I think it's such a mental game. I have a similar story to you of like when I realized that I needed to just work on not the number on the scale, but just my actual health and how I felt in my body. And I think that was when quarantine started. So I got super, super sick in fourth year. And that was during recruiting season when all of my interviews were in September of, I think, 2019. So before COVID. So I didn't have COVID, but I had like bronchitis and I had a fever and I had a really bad cough for maybe an entire month and a half. So like it was pretty bad, and I think that it was because the summer prior I had really not been taking care of my body, like drinking every single week kind of vibe and eating out all the time and not resting my body enough. And I think like you kind of probably can relate to that summer of 2019. Like it was kind of hectic, especially because like all of our friends were living downtown too. But essentially that like bit me in the ass because in September and October I got really, really sick. And after I had recovered from that and then going into quarantine, I had realized how important it was for me to be strong in my body, like health wise, so that I would never get to that point ever again. Because I think like September 2019 was the most sick I had ever been in my like life that I can remember. So I was like, I never want to get there again. And so I'm going to do things to build up my immune system. And that included going out for runs, going out for walks after dinner, like just like simple things. I remember at the time in April and May, people were posting their 5K times on their Instagram stories. And I remember my time was like 10 minutes slower than everyone else's. It was like very embarrassing. But I like kept at it because I felt like it genuinely made me feel stronger. Like it helped me get a faster metabolism. It helped with like endurance. It just like helped with my sleep. It helped with a lot of things. And that's why I kept the cardio up. But naturally, because I had developed that routine, I think I ended up losing that weight, or like the weight that I was carrying from first year. That I just like never lost until 2020. But yeah, like that came as a result to focusing on my physical health and doing activities that would improve it. It didn't come as like the end goal.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I'm actually so happy that we've kind of reacquainted ourselves with like where we should focus on about our bodies. And I know like it's definitely still a work in progress. Like we're still on this journey, but like it sounds so much better than when we both hit like lows or like we both like obsessed over certain features.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess like maybe jumping back to the question you asked in the beginning of when we started this section of the conversation
Mm-hmm.
when you were saying, what do you do when you have anxiety about your appearance? Like, I guess now going to the positive side, like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do to make your body feel good?
Yeah, for me, I definitely do like a full out like self-care day. And like it's like nourishing both your body internally and externally. So internally, things like doing something that brings me joy or that I'm good at. Like I will just read because it's just something that brings me a lot of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will, do the face mask, do like expensive creams that I don't use like every day, that type of thing. Like it just really helps. And then definitely like eating what your body wants. And it's not like complete fast food because if you're being honest, sometimes your body actually craves like I want vegetables or like I want something that makes me feel good and not just giving it to your body. And like if I want like a piece of cake or if I want ice cream, like I will eat it because I think there's no point in trying to force yourself to cut out certain foods. And then after that, like I know this is like kind of contradictory, but I like to do like a full makeover, like do like nails, like do my full face of makeup, like get dressed up, even if I don't go anywhere or like don't have any plans. I think like that always puts me in such a good mood because I love the process of getting ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I really related to when you said like reading for your like mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I found that reading also really calms me down at the end of the night. So I also have started that habit. And honestly, I think what makes my body feel good is going on a walk after dinner every day. And
Mm,
I think that if I don't stretch my legs or I don't do that like half an hour, 40-minute walk, then I feel like there's something wrong. Like I'm missing out on something. So, like, that definitely makes my body feel really good.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, are there any other things that you want to talk about today?
No, I think like this was probably like a pretty, oversharey episode, but it's definitely like really sad to see how many people struggle with the same things despite how they may look to you, right? Like I've had this conversation with girls that I thought were like perfect, like they were the hottest creatures to ever roam these earth, but like they had so many insecurities about their appearances, and it just really reaffirms the fact that like you never know what people are thinking about and what they are stressing over. So it's like try not to make any sort of like comment or any sort of assumptions unless
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah. I think one key takeaway that I've learned throughout my years is confidence is definitely the most sexiest trait a person can have, in my opinion. Like, I think that if someone is confident about how they look, no matter how they look, other people will vibe off of that energy and will appreciate them.
Mm.
And I truly think you cannot have other people love you until you love yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't think loving yourself is thinking that you look like heaven sent or whatever, but it's like being very, as you said before, comfortable with how you look, how you are, and accepting your body for what it is.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, thank you so much for listening to another episode. Today we dived into a lot of different topics, went off into many tangents. So sorry if we were a little rambly, but we had a lot to get off of our chest. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that follow button because it really helps us grow.
Yeah, and feel free to share this episode with your friends and come follow us on Instagram at We Hate Small Talk. Thanks again for listening and see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.